Hello there, folks, and welcome to ZSR. We have another race for you tonight. There haven't been enough races today. We need more races, so we've got one for you. Apologies to my slow computer as it very grudgingly tries to load up this scene. Yes, I know it's a black void right now. There we go. Now it's all coming in so y'all can watch. We have got Jawsomesauce tonight, going up against Otakaru, and we've got Mind DM and MC Calamity here to keep you appraised of what is going on. We also have Rhodes and, apologies, Lapoy in the background here doing God's work and clicking the buttons so that y'all know what's happening. I will step out of the way and leave it into more competent hands.
Good evening, fans of Rando. Mind DM here, and we have a Game 3 on tap for you. As Lost the Pirate did mention, this is Jawsomesauce versus Otakaru, Game 3. Between the two games, they have been decided by, I believe, a grand total of 1 second, 5 seconds one way, 4 seconds the other. So we have a very evenly matched pair for you today. I am joined in the booth by MC Calamity. MC Calamity, good evening to you.
Good evening. So does that mean this one's going to be 3 seconds, and then we have to go to a tie? Just 1 second less each time?
Well, we see on Jaws' character select screen here that Jaws don't tie, so whether we think so or not, he doesn't.
Okay, I mean, that settles it. Not going to happen.
But we shall see. The runners should get underway here for us momentarily. This is a standard 7-7 seed. As you might be aware, these are not main tournament settings. Things like the mail upgrades, the silver arrows, the fourth sword are on offer here for our runners today.
Yeah, I think the last race was actually decided by Tempered versus Mastered, too. So, there was that. Having that extra sword, yeah, it can help out a lot. Makes Ganon go by so much faster. And we're off. Starting the escape sequence.
The uncle leaving behind a single rupee in the chest at home. I wonder if that was the, first rupee he earned at his first job or something. It has to have some kind of sentimental value, doesn't it?
Yeah. And we just took it from him. It just left.
Well, he charged out into the rainy night all on his own, so you take whatever you can to try and chase after him.
That is true.
No idea what trouble he's gotten himself into this time.
Very true. So what we get for our escape item. Classic sword. Nothing special today for escape, just normal fighter sword. Unless we get something else.
Yep, if you happen to be familiar with NMG, the strategies here are going to be pretty familiar. If you're a fan of, say, casual boots, if you start with the sword in your hand, you're probably also pretty familiar. So, the sword is always the easy weapon. I don't think we'll see our runners have any really outlandish plays here.
Alright. The real question is one of them going to get bombs and the other one not, or both get bombs? That's the hunt with the sword. Can you get a bomb for back of escape?
Yeah, and neither of them seem to be hugely concerned about checking that prize pack so far. I think they saw, a 5 rupee off of one of the early guards, so not really concerned about the guard and snake prize pack. Going to have to be hoping that the rats have something.
Yep. It's a healthy escape, though. 5 hearts already. Ball and chain guard's not going to give anyone any troubles.
No, you feel pretty good about going to slash strats when you already have 5 hearts. It feels like every time I get down there, I'm still on 3.
Yeah, and you gotta just hope.
You have to make sure, or you go and you grab the pots and you take the couple of extra seconds to make sure that you get through safely. But hey, that glove is nice. In case bombs don't show up here, they'll have easy access to the back.
Right.
And it looks like Jawsomesauce is going to avail himself of the partial pot strat and then the 4 slashes, kind of the best of both worlds. You don't worry about taking quite so much damage yourself, and you still get through the ball and chain guard in a timely manner. And Otakaru doing the same thing.
Barely any slower than 8 slashes. Totally worth it.
Yep, they found the key down there. It has to appear by Dark Cross at the absolute latest in standard mode so that you can get through the door in Dark Cross and continue your seed.
That would be an interesting end. 5 minutes in, we're done.
5 minutes in. Reroll, please. We have a broken seed. Yeah, that would not be good.
It would be a tie.
I suppose it would, in fact. So while we have these two playing their Game 3, on the other side of Group W, Dapper Wormman earned a 2-1 victory over Nochibato to advance to the winners bracket. So the winner of this race is going to face Dapper Wormman, and the runner who goes home in unfortunate defeat tonight is not out. This is a double elimination group stage, and so will go down to face off against Nochibato.
Yeah, this is gonna make it. So Group W both went on to Game 3.
Indeed, they did.
Maybe we'll just see all of Group W is just all Game 3. That'd be a hell of a group.
And it appears that our rats have the bomb pack. Or at least we got one off the first one we saw, which should be the bomb pack.
Right.
And both of our runners have found that first bomb, so they are good for the escape, although, with the glove in hand, it is not the most concerning thing in the world, and, 3 more in Dark Cross just to send you on your way.
Right.
Just in case there were any concerns at all. Now you're set for both the escape and the 3 checks in Kakariko Village.
And all you pretty much want at this point is a little extra money so you can get like bottle vendor, and then you're just set for the beginning of the game. You got your bombs, sword, glove,
Moon Pearl.
Moon Pearl.
Plus some sticks and yet another heart. 6 hearts already, and they're not even out of the escape sequence yet.
Wow.
Of course, knowing the way Rando goes sometimes, those might be the only 6 hearts they wind up with until they hit the Dark World.
Very true.
But here we are, Jawsomesauce first out of the escape sequence at 6 minutes flat.
Oda not that far behind at 6:07.
That looked like a Pendant Eastern, a Red Crystal at Terra, and I did not get to Desert before Jawsomesauce closed the map. Let's see if Otakaru follows suit here, and we'll see if we can't find out what Desert was if our trackers didn't catch it.
I think Desert was a regular crystal.
And we have little divergence. Otakaru wants to go up and check the Lumberjack item. Both of them have gotten their Tier 2 tree pole, which was the 20 rupee pack, a nice one, but it's not really hugely convenient to farm back up to that Tier 2 level, so the 80 rupees are going to have to do for the moment.
Now we got us some sticks on Lumberjack Ledge.
And some bombs at the drop in the forest hideout. Seed definitely wants you to have plenty of explosives early.
Yep.
By just a handful of seconds, Jawsomesauce is going to be the first runner into the village. We'll start off probably with the check of Blind's old hideout. 5 items on offer here, 5 more in the well, and then you have a bunch of singleton checks as you go south. It is certainly one of the most item-dense locations in the game.
Yeah, there's a lot of Kakariko. There's definitely a lot in Kakariko. And it's always from there, depending on what you have, you can go up the mountain, you can go down the south shore, go right to eastern if it's a crystal. It's when the route really starts to diverge.
Yeah, it's nice when you actually get some semblance of idea of what the seed wants you to do next when you go into the village. And there are enough items there that usually you get that, but every once in a while you walk out with a whole lot of not much.
Yeah, I've gone in and just come out with a bunch of cash and a full set of bombs, and that was it.
In this case, we also have the shovel on offer, so you can walk back out from the race game, check that with the glove. Maybe you want to get into South Shore early, you can lift that rock and go in by the dam.
Yeah, mushroom and Kakariko well. Probably not going to be checked too early without a flute. It's just really far out of the way. You might want to save that for fake powder, just in case, depending on the seed rolls out.
That can depend from time to time. It can be nice if you find a point in your route where you want to save and quit anyway to use the whirlpool to the south of Link's house. And you can,
Hookshot on the bottom
vendor. But to continue that story, you can use the whirlpool to the south of Link's house, and that'll take you up by the witches, and if you've done that after a save and quit, then you can save scum that mushroom if you really need to.
Very true.
The Chicken Shack, just 20 rupees today. Yeah, kind of raiding the larder there, I suppose, as it were. Otakaru picking up the hookshot as well, and 10 sticks in the back of the bar.
So hookshot was our main hookshot and a couple fetch quest items. That was Kakariko.
It's not a whole lot, but if you find the lamp, you've got a decent chunk of mountain access on offer to you.
And you could always go up Mountain Dark if you wanted to just quickly do Paradox Cave and whatnot. If you know Dark Mountain access.
That is entirely possible, but we'll see what Jawsomesauce does here after this looks for sure like a shovel check. Why else would you walk back out that far from the race game? Seeing some nice use of the hook shot on Jawsomesauce's side as well, a little additional movement.
Yeah, but you don't have the boots. Hookshot's a great way to get around. Just hookshotting to a bush can make you go so much faster than just walking to a place.
And that was good for all of 50 rupees.
Yep. Hey, saving up for that Zora money.
Every little bit helps. It's 10% of Zora money.
Yep.
And Otakaru is going to make the same play here, going to find those 50 rupees. Similarly, finding that bottom tree of the set there is not hookable, unfortunately. That's that is an error that a lot of runners, including myself, make pretty regularly. Even when you feel like, no, this time I'm going to be able to hook that. It looks
right. Right, because the trees tend to be hookable with that one tree. The one set of trees. 300 and dam, and yeah, outside dam.
All of a sudden up to 400 on Jawsomesauce's side, reasonably close to Zora money, although not quite there yet.
Potentially tempting the fake flippers because you have Moon Pearl. If you get up to that 500.
And Otakaru just barely not catching that hookshot clip in here is going to have to make a second trip in.
Hammer, that's Dark World access for Moldorm.
That is 12 minute 30 second Dark World access. Now, here's a question for you. How early do you avail yourself of that Dark World access? Do you go ahead and check Ice Rod Cave here, and then save and quit back to the house and go straight for Tripe Cave? Do you go over and check Sahasrarla's Closet first? Do you do that and check Eastern? There are a lot of options all of a sudden that have opened up.
Yeah, I mean, you can go right to Dark World and get that information as far as crystals and pendants. Hope that Thieves Town is clearable. Or, sorry, is a crystal as opposed to a pendant. That way you actually just go through it. But then again, you could miss Sahasrarla's, if Sahasrara has a good item, or any form of, like, health, because Dark World is scary. Green Mail, 8 hearts. The things can still hit like a truck.
Yeah, even the lightest hitters in the Dark World are basically going to do 2 hearts of damage to you on Green Mail. It's not a good place to be.
Yeah. Or you can do what Jawsomesauce is doing and go right to Hype Cave first. You do have that Hammer Glove access, so that's really quick. Save and quit. So we have Thieves Town as a crystal. Skullwoods is our green, and TR is our other pendant.
I believe so. Swamp is a 5/6. And Otakaru walking back out of Ice Rod Cave here. We've got a bottle in Hype Cave, first bottle of the game.
Ooh, Cane. We had Ether, Cane, and officially Zora money, unless you go to Pod first, or do dig game and whatnot. We have a nice route divergence as well. Oda's doing fake flippers. Hoping to get that extra money before Zora.
We shall see. Looks content to start off with the hobo. Makes a lot of sense. If you're still looking for the money to do Zora, I like this check. Obviously it's closer to just swim straight into the Zora area, but if there's something specific you're looking for, like not orphaning the actual Zora check, which is the one logical check you have up there at the moment, then I think this play first makes a lot of sense.
Last race, if I remember correctly, Tempered was on Hobo, and that was the one sword difference that made the 4 seconds. So I totally see, like, Oda wanting to see if Tempered was going to be there one more time. Or the next sword upgrade.
Yeah, I do feel like I find out-of-logic sword upgrades on these flipper checks quite often.
Definitely.
And there's the magic powder at the dig game, the magic bag full of swag.
And the Kylie Island was a 20.
Otakaru probably wishes that he could grab that right at the moment, still being 40 rupees short of Zora money, but not gonna happen without the mirror. It looks like Jawsomesauce probably wants to go ahead and get into the Village of Outcasts area, and there was Otakaru getting bailed out in Waterfall Ferry with a 50. So Zora money was in fact on offer. All he had to do was trust in the seed and head that direction.
Jawsomesauce has Sick Kid and Magic Bat he can check as well. So might as well just go get it out of that away and do Thieves Town. Ooh. Bow on Sick Kid.
Sick Kid had chosen the archery class before that fell wind from Death Mountain laid him low. Let's see if Magic Bat has something equally interesting. And for that matter, here is the master scammer himself, the Zora Lord.
Definitely worth the 500 rupees.
Yeah.
And 50 rupees from Magic Bat.
The seed giveth rupees only to take them away.
Yep. Looks like Oda's gonna skip Hype Cave or go all the way around and go back down to Hype Cave after Thieves Town. checks, or Dark Kakariko checks. So he won't get the bow right away, unless there's another bow in Thieves' Town, or Dark Kakariko.
Or if there's a mirror and another bottle shows up.
True.
And I don't know that having that bow in hand is going to be immediately problematic, although we will probably see Jawsomesauce probably carry that south route through, although, you know, having already done Hype Cave, maybe you try the northern route instead and you get stopped on flippers unless you know something like the Kern jump.
True. I feel like the bow will push you 2 pods slightly faster, but it won't make too much of a difference.
Getting a nice long map check here on Otakaru's side so that we can confirm everything that we believed we already knew.
Yep. We got a Skullwoods dip and a normal Village of Outcast checks on the other side.
Chest game not even paying for itself. I feel like that's happening more and more often lately.
Yeah.
And the runner asks, where do I go to get my time back?
Well, these Shisei putt made up for chest game.
Yeah, between them, 70 rupees after you spent 30, so yeah, you're up 40 on the 2 checks you've made.
Cave and Skullwoods. Could be good if everything's on bumper ledge.
Yeah, and it's entirely probable that Jawsomesauce will go ahead and check that after finding a second item here and heading on out. And Otakaru has decided to avail himself of at least the front of Thieves' Town. It is a crystal, so I expect that he'll go all the way through, but, you know, sometimes you don't necessarily feel entirely comfortable on the stuff you've got, but when you've already got a sword and the hammer, you're not leaving anything behind.
Right. You know you're going to get all the checks in Thieves' Town. No matter what at this point. And you have a lamp now. It's good for later. No dark rooms for anyone who goes Thieves' Town.
And as expected, Jawsomesauce going to head east and a little north, check out Bumper Ledge, sees the blue mail.
Looks like he was going to go for it and then decided not to. It wasn't quite worth it.
Not worth all the bullying he was getting from the Moblins and the Murderdactyl.
Yeah.
Otakaru showing us that our stun prize today is 5 rupees.
Gotta get that Zora money back somehow.
Well, when you still need to play the dig game and you still need to get into the Palace of Darkness and maybe you still need to get the big bomb, you know, if you have to stun an enemy anyway and you're going to be killing it anyway, yeah, 5 rupees is not the worst prize you could get.
It could end up making the difference if he goes to pod with just a little too little money.
Now we're going to see Jawsomesauce avail himself of the little store there, which will sell you a rather expensive red goo at blue goo prices.
It's a good idea
Nice.
going to Thieves' Town because crickets hit really hard, and you could end up using it after Hellway.
That is entirely possible, although with that magic powder in hand, you do have that anti-fairy in Hellway as well. If you can get down to the end of it, you can replenish your stock of hit points fairly easily.
That is true.
So what are you expecting after Otakaru gets through here? We expect to see the blind kill, but assume that the items stay the same for the moment. North into Skull Woods, probably, you think?
I'm going to say south into Hype Cave area, because Skull Woods is a pendant. He normally routes... I'm pretty sure he normally routes crystals before... I don't think he normally routes in Skull Woods. It's a pendant. Based off the last 2 races. But I mean, Green Pendant Skull Woods. It's pretty tempting because it's pretty quick checks, especially with Kane for the Gibdo room.
The unfortunate part is where you're going up there without the fire rod, unless that happens to show up in here. Because while the Green Pendant can be that one extra item, right now it's not really on offer to our runners.
Right. And it's quite possible we had, what, I think 1 item in the front of Skull Woods? I didn't see if Jawsome saw the second.
Hopefully our trackers can set us straight on that, because I am not certain on that count either.
We get Fighter Sword Blind, which still can be the script. It's just a little bit shorter, and it can kind of get... It can get out of script pretty easily. And he's good. He definitely got off script, but he ended up keeping Blind up top, and not a bad fight.
And that is first blood in this match, the first crystal caught by Otakaru at 25 minutes. So we'll see where he wants to go next. Heading south, it looks like you are correct, going to go ahead and avail himself of the dig game and then head on towards Hype Cave.
Question is, does he go back for bow, or does he go... Would you dip pod without a bow? I feel like that'd be kind of a risky play. Or do you just end up going up to like pyramid?
Yeah, I don't really see a way that you immediately go back to check that bottle. Not when you've already done everything else in the area, light and dark world, essentially. The only thing that's really dragging you back towards that area is Green Pendant Skull Woods, which now that you've been in the area already, you're probably considering leaving off until you have a fire rod in hand.
Right. So then where would you go after Hype Cave then? Where do you think you'll end up heading?
Given that he found that the lamp in Thieves Town has the hookshot and the glove in hand, I could see a play up the mountain. You can clear out a good chunk of Light Mountain with that equipment.
Makes sense. You can go all the way around to Hera even with the hammer.
This is true.
Take off another crystal dungeon. And a 5/6 one at that.
Now I suppose it is possible, if he does not want to go ahead and dip into pod with no bow, that we could see the play all the way up through Catfish here.
That is definitely possible.
And Jawsomesauce also getting ever so slightly off script there. Blind did get to the bottom of the room. But he is through for the first crystal on his side at 27 minutes and a half.
So there's one crystal down. I feel like they're still definitely close. Still anyone's game, which is normal for only 30 minutes. Not even 30 minutes in.
Yeah, Jawsome, also having made those checks up into the Skull Woods area, probably has a couple of additional checks in hand that, maybe depending on what he finds in the interim, Otakaru might make later.
Very true.
And it looks like Jawsomesauce is going to go back and have another go at that blue mail.
Makes sense. If you, let's say 8's the last amount of hearts you have. 8 can be pretty rough later on in the game. If you know where blue mail is, might as well grab it.
Otakaru's pyramid routing has paid off here. The flute is on Pyramid Ledge.
And that's probably going to push him towards the bottle in that bow with that flute.
That is the reason to go back to Kakariko Village in the very near future. It looks like going to continue the route up to Catfish, and then a save and quit, since that's your save and quit point anyway. Even if Catfish has the mirror, I think you're done at that point.
Yeah.
Particularly since it was Otakaru who did the fake flipperage and has already been into the Zora area.
Looks like Jawsome's going to do some Eastern checks, probably, or maybe pod first and then go do Eastern. Might even try and do a little Eastern skip.
That is possible. Looks like from the direction he's heading, going to go ahead and check out Sahasrar's closet first. Makes all the sense in the world.
Definitely.
You might get something that makes pod nicer, like, say, a mirror.
Or an upgraded sword. Catfish with 20.
Or you could get 50 rupees, 20 rupees, and some bombs, and kind of wish you had saved the time.
Yep. Yeah, it looks like Oda's gonna go activate that flute, which definitely makes sense.
And as long as he remembers to check the small child as well, will be rewarded with the bow and will be in what I would call a favorable position.
Definitely.
A small advantage, perhaps. Not a lead, necessarily, but an advantage.
Yeah.
And as you surmised, here is Jawsomesauce skipping right on by Eastern Palace, which is a pendant today, and is going to go for pod instead.
Definitely makes sense. Go right to, I mean, you could full clear pod at this point. You have blue mail, even though you only have fighter sword. Chances are you're going to be okay, especially with that red potion. Get that crystal dungeon out of the way. And then if you get mirror, maybe go to Eastern afterwards, just to do the quick checks. Or just go right up the mountain.
And Otakaru, employing the flute, is going to give us the mushroom check.
Piece of heart.
So, neither of the first two fetch quests paying out, but that book has appeared in the inventory as well. Maybe that's going to lead to something.
Yeah, when either runner goes to the mountain, they can always check Ether Tablet after they do Hera. Looks like pod is officially bow locked, which is not an issue for either because they both are going to have the bow.
Looked like Otakaru had that mushroom on the mind and then remembered, oh, I also have that bottle now for the small child, and I have the hammer and the magic powder. I can go have a little chat with the bat. So we will.
You go first.
So we will see. Otakaru does have that flute back out. Question is going to be, where does he decide to go with it? Mountain could be a play here, but no, looks like it's going to be 5. Going to go ahead and follow that bow that he just found.
Doesn't even check Sauce for his closet, just goes right into Dark World for pod.
He doesn't know it, but if he sticks with that gamble, he's actually gaining a little bit of time there.
Yeah.
Couple of small keys there on the bow-locked side of pod, so we were well and truly bow-locked today.
Yep. The boot's gotta take the long way around the bumper room.
Yep, he was getting a little bullied by those hard hat beetles there, but he is through.
Looks like pod's being its normal self as well. Everything, all the keys in the front.
Well, you are guaranteed to find at least 4 small keys in the front 6 chests of pod. You can find as many as all 6 of them, but 6 key front pod is a unicorn. I've seen it once.
Yeah, that's super rare.
Oh, interesting. So Jawsomesauce, having found the big key in the front, is going to go ahead and rush the boss here.
It's definitely interesting.
I guess it makes some sense when you do not have the mirror, because you can then save and quit out of the back. Now, of course, if Jawsomesauce saves and quits out of the back of pod after going back in for however many items remain after this Helmasaur King kill, he's going to leave that flute sitting there on Pyramid Ledge, and I'm not sure how you come back to that in a timely manner.
Now I feel like after that you're going to go up and do the mountain, everything you can up there. Maybe once you leave the mountain, depending on what you have, you might do Pyramid Ledge.
Maybe, and the thought process might be, I have the lamp, I have the glove, so I have the logical mountain access. The flute is probably just up there, right? That's how Rando goes. One of the 2 possible ways to access the mountain is down in the lower world, and the other one's up there on the mountain somewhere, or, locked behind other things that are up there.
That is Rando. Except for the one time it's not.
So here is Jawsomesauce into the Helmasaur King fight. 17 hits to that mask will destroy it, and then some combination of hammer hits or fighter sword spins or probably bow shots. Bow shots would be my personal preference.
And I feel like I definitely go to the bow when all I have is fighter sword. With a nice clean Helmasaur.
Yep, 8 regular bow shots to the jewel or 1 silver arrow will in fact do the trick. But it is just the compass and crystal number 2 for Jawsomesauce at 36 minutes and change. Taking over the crystal count lead, if momentarily.
It's like Oda's going to do the more traditional pod route. Or he might end up going right to Helmasaur too. See in just a sec. No, he's going to the back.
And I think that Jawsomesauce's route would actually have worked out better for Otakaru here, having already done the Pyramid Ledge and Catfish. There's nothing else to stay in this area for as far as he's concerned.
Right, it'd be faster to save and quit than having to death warp out a back of maze.
It doesn't take huge amounts of time on 8 Hearts Green Mail. All of those Kodongos, the fire, and the Kodongos themselves are treated as trap damage. It'll do 1 heart every time, but, it's still faster to just hit that select button, tap down, and hit A or B, and, choose to save and quit.
Right.
Jawsomesauce choosing to avail himself of some of these rupees in the basement, making his way up to Zora Money.
Wonder if he got the mirror, if it was in the back, whether he would go do Catfish Zora. Only got one more check from Oda's side, his side. No mirror in pot.
No, aside from the crystal, this does not seem to have turned up a great deal. And there we are, as expected on Otakaru's side, the death warp so that he can come back in and get to the boss in a timely manner.
Yep, and that save and quit from Jawsomes, and looks like he's gonna go up to the mountain. Which definitely makes sense in his position.
It is by far the highest item density area that he has on the table currently. And it will be new information for everybody. It will be interesting to see what he finds up there, because something up there almost assuredly has to break this seed open at this point.
Very true. So he'll get his lumberjack check out of the way as well.
This is something that I've seen from more runners recently. Hold off on that lumberjack check until you're getting ready to make your way up the mountain, since you're, at least kind of close to it at that point.
That makes sense, because you have the tree pull and the crab inside of Lost Woods. So you can just get those two there. And then maybe you're in go mode by the time you go up the mountain, which is a very rare case, but let's say that happens, then you don't need to worry about it.
So we'll see here, Jawsomesauce rescuing the old man with a lamp. I feel like more often than not I'm rescuing that old man in the dark anymore.
Yep. Most of the time it's with a flute and it's dark from the other side. And he gave us 20 rupees for our troubles.
Well, I guess it's not a bad gift for the equivalent of helping the old man across the street, but, not really what our runners are looking for at the moment.
We do get Paradox Cave, which is a bunch of checks, followed by Crystal Hera.
Otakaru expending a couple of extra arrows, but is safely through the Helmsor King fight. Rewarded with the compass, unfortunately, but also his second crystal of the match at 40 minutes and 50 seconds. Evening that crystal count out between our runners once again at 2.
Ooh, Titan's Myth and Paradox.
That is the kind of thing that you like to see up on the mountain. That ice rod may not go amiss.
So
You kind of don't like to see it, but, you'd rather have it in hand and not need it than need it and not have it.
True. Rather than going on an ice rod hunt, might as well have it in case Trinex has something. And that blue cane, another invincibility. We're going to see a Spike Cape check at the end, probably, with Cape and blue cane.
It'll be interesting because I expect what we'll see here is we'll see the play into Hera, and then we'll see Jawsomesauce go back over to the eastern side of the mountain to go down Spiral Cave and avail himself of all of the Dark World checks.
Right, and then do you actually go across dodging the Lionels and go for Spike Cave, or at that point it's just not worth it?
And depending on your comfort level with that, maybe instead you just save and quit back to the mountain cave and decide to climb up on the light side.
True.
Not
A
that
lot
getting by
less
the
deadly
Lionels
that
is
way.
all that bad, but... You know, when you've got the hook shot, you're in a reasonably decent spot.
Yeah.
Jawsomesauce with the big key already in hand is going to go ahead and attempt to perform Harapot here. And
Yeah, you got it
succeeds.
first try.
Well, it appears that something is interesting to Otakaru inside Spectacle Rock Cave.
Wake might be needed for Meyer.
Yep, does not yet know that the glove is on the other side of the mountain, so cannot yet have checked Meyer. You may as well grab the medallion, and once again, kind of like the ice rod, if you know where it is, particularly when you know where it is, and you don't know if you need it yet or not, go ahead and spend the extra 5 or 10 seconds. You may just thank yourself later.
It's a lot shorter time to just grab it now than having to come all the way back up the mountain just for that. So we get hammer strats on Troll Dorm today.
Yeah, blink and you miss Jawsomesauce's climb up Tower of Hera, already engaged with the boss, and already 3 hammer hits right onto the tail. Down goes the worm.
And red mail. Nice.
Also, crystal number 3 for Jawsomesauce, pulling into the lead on Crystal County yet again at 44 minutes.
Oda's going to get his strength, his first invincibility, because he didn't get Cave from Skull Woods. A little bit.
Jawsome reading Ether Tablet, finding out that it is just a full heart container, and we are unlikely to see that one.
Yeah, with red mail and already 11 hearts. That heart doesn't seem like that great of an idea.
And I did not catch it when Jawsomesauce was in there, but the heart container in the 5 chest area of Paradox Cave was apparently sank heart because it fully refilled Otakaru's hit points.
Oh, nice.
Seeing a similar play there on Jawsomesauce's side, you see that medallion, you think, I don't know if I need that or not, but that gives me a 2/3 chance of having the medallion that I need. Let's just go ahead and grab that while we're here, shall we? And a nice bomb jump
Spike
there.
Cave, if he's going out this way. I think it's always good to get this check out of the way if you're around here, because it's just something you either forget about or don't end up getting back around to.
It is one of the easier checks up on the mountain to complete the orphan, and that can be a problem.
Not this seed, though.
And with that save and quit, Jawsomesauce going right back to the mountain, going to go over to the east side and get into the Dark World. I can't imagine any other play here. Now, I guess the question would be going straight up to the Turtle Rock portal and hitting that and hoping you've got the 2 and 3 chance to open it up just in case you have to go in later.
Yeah, that way it's over with.
If he does have the required medallion, it is possible for him to go in now with the Cane of Samaria.
Yeah, you're in a fire rod, so it might be a quick little dip just to see what's the first checks. Or you could get unlucky or lucky, depending on how you think, and make it all the way to Laser Bridge.
Sometimes Pendant DR has all of the answers, and sometimes Pendant DR has nothing but bait.
Yup.
And wouldn't you know it, the key being kept under the interdimensional doormat at, the door out back. instead of the, right here in front, it was out by the back door, on the patio maybe. But there it was, Quake up on the mountain, and for the entrance to TR, and nope. Jawsomesauce jumps down in front, says, "Do I want to go in? Do I want to go in?" No. No, I do not.
I completely respect that. TR. It would be a quick dip, but if it does pull you towards the back, it could be a lot of time wasted.
And since you don't have the mirror, then getting back out to make all of these checks takes a lot longer. So even if you are intending to go in, I feel like coming out and doing the Hookshot Cave and Super Bunny Cave checks first makes a lot of sense here.
Definitely. Hookshot Cave was Piece of Heart Cave today.
He is going to follow it up with Super Bunny, a couple of more items on offer here. Well, we have Otakaru heading in for his battle with the worm.
There's nothing in Super Bunny. So Mountain was Ice Rod, Blue Cane, and Titan's Mitts pretty much, plus a crystal.
Yeah, I'd say that the Titan's Mitts are by far the biggest thing there, outside of course, the required crystal to beat the game with. That is Blue Mail on Otakaru's side, evening up the crystal count 3-3 once again at 49 minutes.
It looks like we're getting a TR dip.
If you're lucky, you get locked out early, or if you're lucky, you get a required progression item. If you're unlucky, you go all the way to Laser Bridge and you find a bunch of sticks and bombs.
Ooh, Master Sword's nice.
Yeah, getting locked out on Master Sword is not the worst thing that can happen there, not by any stretch of the imagination. Now I do wonder if we will see Otakaru make that play into TR. Having the glove and the flute says you have access to the mire area.
Right, I feel like you go to Mire first. And then you'll probably never see TR unless it's a required item in there other than Master Sword. So we're getting a desert check from Jawsome. As long as it's not boots locked, that is beatable.
Very true, and it's a nice time to combine it with everybody's second favorite elder, Agina. The elder who has 1/3 as many items and is quite a bit further out of the way.
And some more money.
And it's items like that that are why he's everyone's second favorite elder.
Except for the one time he has boots or flute.
Or mirror, not speaking from personal experience or anything, but mirror. Jawsomesauce with a quick spy of the desert ledge there, just a piece of heart. I cannot imagine that on 12 hearts red mail already he has any intention of going to get that. But we are seeing Otakaru go ahead and open up Turtle Rock. I wonder if we'll see the dip on his end after all.
It'd be good to give him the Master Sword. Or he might just be opening it just in case for later.
Now I will say I do have a buddy who has what he calls the TR rule, which is if you are on the mountain by TR, and you have all of the things to get into TR, then you must go into TR.
There are definitely some seeds, yeah.
It could simply be that the players are following the received wisdom of the ages here.
The desert is not boot locked, that'll be beatable. There's a small key, oh, and flippers in the big chest. Small key on torch.
Flippers are nice and not only logically required for Ice Palace, but hard required because we have a crystalline swamp today.
Yes, we do.
As we had expected, Jawsomesauce going to turn his nose right up at that piece of heart out there on Desert Ledge is much more interested in going out and clearing out this crystal dungeon. Meanwhile, Otakaru says no thank you to entering Turtle Rock at the moment, instead is heading over this looks like a play right into Spike Cave.
Yes, it does. So where do you go if you're Jawsome from here? What do you even have access to? Has he done flipper checks yet?
No, I do not believe so. He did not fake Flipper. So Flipper checks are open to him. With that glove, he still doesn't have a Fire Rod or Bombos medallion at the moment, so Ice Palace is out. Could be convinced to go into Eastern. Eastern is a pendant, but is full clearable to him now.
See some Ice Rod Landmo strats.
And those were some fairly terrible quick hops by Landmos there, and the Ice Rod, the timing on it is a little different than the Fire Rod, and all things put together did not work out terribly well for Jawsomesauce, but he's going to clean it up with that Master Sword.
Timing is just different enough that it always throws me off. And he will be up a crystal once again, with Vamos, meaning Ice Palace is in logic.
That is his logical play into Ice Palace. Ice Palace is another one of those crystal dungeons. He is going to have to clear it eventually anyway. I would not be at all surprised to see that be the next play now. It is interesting that the seed keeps leading him right along, keeps giving him items that allow him to clear out crystal dungeons that he needs to beat the game. But that flute is eluding him at the moment, and that is 100% required because Mire is a crystal dungeon for him.
Yep.
Now, what play are we getting from Jawsomesauce here? Is this maybe a mushroom turn-in on his side?
There's a mushroom to Zora, maybe?
That is one of the nice things about the flippers. They give you a fairly easy way to get over to the witch.
Yeah, and at this point you can just couple it in with the Zora domain checks. Get those all out of the way. Plus pick up a blue potion on the way, which is always nice.
Yeah, you know, the seed has thrown more than enough money at the runners. Being able to grab that blue potion while you're in the area, once again, it's easier for Otakaru to do that. Having the flute on hand, a quick flute to 2 gets you potions whenever you want them. For Jawsomesauce, this is kind of a convenient routing point. I'm here, my bottle's empty, and I have the money, so why don't I just fill it with blue goo while I'm right here?
Exactly. So the question is, when Oda gets his Bombos, does he go right to Ice Palace or does he go do Mire first?
Given that he has not chosen to avail himself of that Mire area yet, I kinda think the play to Ice is a little more likely. I'm wondering if he's hoping for the mirror to show up first, so that he can clear out the entire area in one go, not orphaning the checkerboard cave.
He's gonna be... After Bombos, isn't he Mirror from Go mode? If there's nothing like GT Torch.
Yeah, the boots are the outside possibility. Not necessarily going to need a Fire Rod this seed. I believe you are correct. Because we've got Green Pendant on Mothula, and the red-blue over there on Trinex. Now, of course, there is that torch puzzle on the right-hand side of the GT basement, which you can bypass the logic of with a bomb jump. I have no idea if either of these runners are at all comfortable with that trick. I, for one, am not.
Yeah, no, I can get it maybe 1 out of 10 tries. It's a pretty difficult bomb jump to time.
There are a lot of things working against you in that room.
Yeah. Pulling out the bow landmo strats.
Get a little bow, get a little sword, get a little hammer.
Now we get a little bombos.
And while Jawsomesauce has been performing these flipper checks, Otakaru has once again tied up the crystal count at 4 at 58 minutes. So we'll probably see a flute somewhere here in the very near future. Will it be 8, or will it be 6, or will it be somewhere else entirely?
So we're going for the Meyer checks with Meyer. Just kind of
Alright.
put off checkerboard for the time being.
Yep, here comes the Meyer play. I was expecting this a little earlier than we actually got it, but Otakaru is here now, finds out that we need ether to get in there, but when you have all 3 coins, you're not really worried about it. And Jawsomesauce, without the flute, is indeed taking that Bombos medallion right over to Ice Palace.
Definitely makes sense. Might as well just go clear another crystal dungeon.
The desire to be clearing out crystal dungeons is real, especially in 1v1.
Yeah.
You know, if there are 10 people in the race, you think, well, maybe I'll try this one-off pinned dungeon dip, see if I find something that nobody else finds, because they're all busy trying to clear out all the crystal dungeons. But when you're 1v1, you really have that gut feeling that I need to be clearing out crystal dungeons right now, because I know my opponent is.
Right.
Otakaru getting a little bullied in Mire 2 here. This is not the nicest room with no fire rod and no sword beams.
Yeah, definitely gonna be a pain. But on blue mail 12 hearts, even getting hit a little bit doesn't feel too bad.
To answer the question in chat, the flute was on the pyramid ledge. Looked like Jawsomesauce had to finagle his first try on Icebreaker there just a little bit, but gets through cleanly on the second try. It's a trick where you convince the game that you're still in the doorway by the placement of that Samaria block, and when you're in a doorway, the game always tries to push you straight out of that door, and you convince it to just kind of ignore the fact that, well, there's a huge rail there.
Samaria and doors. They go together in very interesting ways.
Samaria and a lot of things in this game go together in interesting ways. I feel like most of the really interesting tech found in the last couple of years is all Samaria based, or at least has Samaria based setups.
So we have a Vitreous with Fighter Sword and a Cold Stare with Master Sword coming up.
Between the two, I will take the Cold Stare on Master Sword every day and twice on Sunday.
Yep.
Whether he would admit it or not, I'm sure Otakaru was thinking, please, 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 let me have silvers in here. Please let the silvers be in mire.
Yep. At least you have powder to help you get at full health early. But I know you have 30 arrows too, so you could just go straight up shooting gallery vitreous.
I think that a mixture of bomb softening and then some arrows to finish up makes a whole lot of sense here.
It definitely.
Because those fighter sword spins do not do much, and you cannot spin with the blue cane out. He would need the cape for that, and that's tucked away in the front of Pendant Skull Woods. He is not going to have it for this boss fight.
And that was the mirror in Mire. I didn't see that check that had it. He's in potential go mode. Oda.
Yeah, barring a requirement of the boots or the big key being locked behind that torch puzzle that you want the fire rod for on the right-hand side of GT, he's in pretty good shape.
I imagine you like check checkerboard cave and do a couple extra checks just in case fire rod or boots are there. You don't just beeline it through your crystal dungeons right to GT.
Well, plus we do have to operate under the knowledge that Otakaru is still on the fighter sword, and Master Sword is required to kill Ganon, so he needs to find another sword upgrade somewhere.
So we are getting the bombs to start. And Jawsome just took out Hold Stair with Master Sword. I think he had to use the blue potion for that. So we're getting bombs and fighter sword spins.
Fighter sword spins here are really dangerous. As more and more of those little eyeballs come out, they really try to corner you, and on blue mail they're still doing 3 hearts of damage.
Yep. And there's the occasional lightning bolt that just arcs over to the corner that you're hiding in.
Seems to be having a little more luck now employing the bow in addition to the other things, getting a few of those small eyeballs out of the way.
Man. It looks like we are seeing Pyramid and Catfish on or maybe not Catfish, but definitely Pyramid on Jawsomesauce's side.
I feel like he probably I feel like he probably has enough that once he does get that flute, he goes ahead and activates it and gets over to the mire area. Because 100%. That's been locked off from him for quite a while now. And that is Otakaru safely through the fight with Vitreous, picking up crystal number 5 at 1 hour and 6 minutes, taking not actually the lead. We had the Ice Palace clear on Jawsome's side, but evening up once again the neck and neck crystal race to 7 here. And there we are, Jawsome, flute in hand, immediate save and quit.
You definitely go right to Mire and then just clear that in Swamp Palace. Hope for that fire rod or boots. Specifically that fire rod, because how many checks that closes off in GT. Or you get to do the entire walk up the mountain just hoping that it's not required.
Jawsomesauce with the flute activation. Otakaru going to employ that flute, probably heading to 4 here, you think? Go ahead and... Nope, going to clear out Ice Palace before Swamp, alright. I would have been much more tempted to do Swamp first. I find it to be an easier dungeon on the lower sword level. The boss is substantially less threatening.
Yeah, I feel like Swamp's an easier dungeon throughout.
Interesting, the bomb refill there, but not the arrow refill, even though Otakaru is currently down to 8 arrows. I guess with Vitreous out of the way, if you don't have silvers, 8 arrows will do, kind of, unless, you know, you've got something behind Ice Armos, in which case you're going to need to apply damage to them somehow.
Yeah, and you're not going to want to, you know, sword strat them. You can use Boomerang if you really want to take your time.
You could try to pin them all in one corner with Blue Cane, like Raids is saying there in chat. I agree. That's probably your best strat if you don't want to burn arrows on them.
True.
Hookshot making quick work of all of those pin gators, but unfortunately the chest not what Otakaru is looking for.
No, I feel like if you're Oda at this point, you really want a sword and you really want that fire rod.
Yeah, the fire rod is a want, the sword has to show up.
Yes.
You know, unless of course the big key in Ganon's Tower is on that fire rod locked side, in which case then you're going to be looking for the fire rod a little harder.
Yep. Another icebreaker. Ice. And we're coming up on the mirror soon for Jawsome. Which I imagine after this you just go right for Swamp.
One would think, in his case, he already has that 2nd level sword upgrade, so all you're looking for is that 7th crystal, and you hope that the sword is either in one of the handful of chests there on the way, or, you know, in GT.
I feel like at this point, neither one of them really have... Since Jawsomesauce has his flute, I feel like they're both kind of neck and neck. Except Jawsome does have that sword advantage, which can help him out with speed as far as killing bosses.
That is certainly the advantage that Jawsome has on his side at the moment, and, you know, whether or not one of those other swords is on the way is really what it comes down to. If there is a sword on the way and Otakaru hits it, then we have a race. Otherwise, we may have a problem.
Because that second Master Sword's in TR, there's no way you're going to do Turtle Rock after doing the GT climb with only Fighter Sword. It's not going to be the first place you're going to go. So it could be a while if for some reason he doesn't find another sword.
Yeah, even if you enter the TR portal there, I don't know how you justify, oh, well, I'm just going to dip in here, instead of simply assuming that you're going to stumble upon a sword in GT Basement.
Right.
And we appear to have an unfortunate technical difficulty on Otakaru's side. We do apologize for that. Our technical staff are indeed working on the problem, even as we speak. As you can see by the face of shock and outrage posted by Lost the Pirate, it has been taken notice of.
Good old technical difficulties. Computers are great.
Technology is wonderful, every time it works.
Yep.
Unfortunately, with no fire rod here, we're seeing the old style play through the basement of Misery Mire today. There will be no spooky.
No spooky.
This should be a little easier of a fight for Jawsomesauce, has the cape, has that second level sword. Still going to go ahead and soften it up with bombs a little bit first, which makes sense. Being on normal magic yet, don't want to waste the potion unless you really have to.
Right. Try and keep the blue potion if you can. You could always soften it up with bombs and then go cape spin strats.
Instead is going to go Cane / strats. And now it's going to change over to cape / strats.
Because of the amount of lag that game creates.
I would have been tempted with 14 full hearts to just go ahead with the kind of NMG-ish style. Now in NMG you would have the tempered sword here, but just taking that damage boost, 1 damage off the slime to go in and spin on those small eyeballs. But it's really whatever the runner's comfortable with.
Right. Yeah, Master Sword NMG strat isn't too bad, but you take 1 too many hits from an eyeball and then you're wasting your potion. Or you can just play it safe and use your bombs like Jawsomesauce did.
Yeah, that's why I liked the softening up with the bombs first. You get that damage in, that way you have a little more leeway, a little more room for error when you actually go in with the sword and start wading in and taking hits. But that is in fact crystal number 6 in the bag for Jawsomesauce. 1 to go. It is in Swamp Palace, but is not quite ready to go there yet. Is instead, I think, going to check out Checkerboard Cave. Probably once either, a sword upgrade, boots, fire sword, silver arrows would be nice. Now, of course, all of us watching at home, we know that this is just going to be a big 20.
Correct.
And learning that for himself, Jawsomesauce nopes right out.
Yeah, get out of here, go to Swamp. Really hoping for that tempered sword. Or fire rod, or something else.
Well, that's the meme, right? There's always a sword in Swamp.
Always.
Now what's funny is I had a seed fairly recently where there was a sword in Swamp in one of the 2 sunken chests that you can diver down to in the back.
Yeah.
And that put me in go mode.
Nice.
I thought, alright, I'm in go mode. I skipped the waterfall chest where the boots were. They weren't required, and I did win that race. However, the bootsless climb of Ganon's Tower is not fun.
No, not at all. Especially when you get to the conveyor room with the 5 red guards. Just have to walk down the left side and hope. And just also not having the ability to dash.
To answer the question in chat, silvers and mail upgrades and the butter sword are not available in the main tournament. However, the Challenge Cup, which this is a match in the tournament of, is being played with a normal item pool setting.
So we get all the mail upgrades and silvers and swords.
Yeah, those mail upgrades are the reason why I am participating in the Challenge Cup instead of the main tournament, because green mail gets me killed in late game dungeons. It gets me killed often.
It feels so great after doing the qualifiers to actually be able to get blue mail.
Actually be able to take more than 1 hit somewhere before you're going beep, 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 beep. Yeah.
Yep. Ganon hugs hurt a lot. On any mail.
But especially on green. It's 8 full hearts on green.
Yep.
And on hard item pool, you can only get up to 14 hearts, which means that no matter where you're at, you're going to be able to take a maximum of 1, and on some health levels, it's going to be 0.
Yep.
It does appear that Jawsomesauce has chosen to avail himself of the on-the-way checks, that bombable wall in the front that, sometimes has the hammer, which is why Swamp Palace gets something of a reputation of being a bad dungeon.
Yep.
Because nobody likes to make that dip.
The left side that sometimes has the hook shot. I doubt he'll do left side today, but they're always fun. Left side swamp hook shot.
To answer EFADD's question in chat, we have unfortunately had some technical difficulties on Otakaru's side on apparently his own stream, so we're not sure when or if we're going to be getting him back, unfortunately. Hopefully, if we do not, he does have a local recording available.
Yep. Always keep a local recording, just in case the internet decides that it doesn't want to work. We got silvers on Jawsomesauce. So even if he has to do gaming with Master Sword, at least he has silvers.
I find that a lot of runners, when they have Master Sword, tend to kind of forget that and start doing silverless hits, and then have to remind themselves that, wait, I have silvers. Let's stop doing this the hard way, please.
Hey, look, boots are in that chest again.
That was in fact the one that I was talking about. You know, that one that I decided to save myself a whole 2 seconds by walking on by.
But at least we get a boot climb.
You know, it's nice at least if it didn't decide it wanted to give him a sword or the fire rod. There were a couple of nice things in here on the way.
Yeah, Swamp had some stuff. Silvers and boots. Nothing to laugh at. I do prefer tempered silverless over Master Sword silvers, though.
Tempered Sword makes so many things in the climb of the tower so much nicer, I would have to agree with you.
Yeah, I got the tower, and also Phase 1 and 2 of Ganon, especially if you don't have Cape with Master Sword, just take forever.
Agreed, 100%. Jawsomesauce getting a little bullied by Argus there on those drops, but does put some hammer hits into it, and there is crystal number 7. Crystal number 7 for Jawsomesauce at 1 hour, 19 minutes, and 55 seconds.
Imagine you head right to GT or go back in for swamp items just in case.
I guess he did find both the map and the compass, so knows there are 2 items on left side swamp, but this is a rough play in my estimation.
Yeah, I feel like you take the gamble going up GT without Fire Rod, just like... Left side swamp is a couple pretty long checks.
This is definitely a play that we're going to have to ask him about in the post-race interview, because I'm not sure how I could possibly justify this play unless I'm just not comfortable going up there without the fire rod. I have to think that's what it is.
He must be thinking Fire Rod, and that's pretty much the one thing on his mind right now is right side GT not being accessible. Plus, you can't do diver down for this section because you don't have the key. So you gotta do it the good old-fashioned way.
All of these developer-intended strats we're seeing this evening. What is the world coming to? Now, I wonder, since we're seeing this left side play, since Swamp was the other of the 5-6 crystals to go along with Tower of Hera, are we going to see a Pyramid Fairy play after this?
Definitely possible. If he's going for left side swamp, maybe he'll do Pyramid Fairy. Doubt he'll do anything after that, though.
Well, I would say at that point you have to bite the bullet, but by the same token, you know, I would have thought after you cleared Swamp to begin with, that was time to bite the bullet. So here we are.
Here we are. And we also gotta check Big Chest, too.
Unless whatever he's looking for is here in the vanilla big key chest of left side Swamp, and that is just a bottle. He can fill it with some more safety if he really wants to, but I'm pretty sure that's not what Jawsomesauce was looking for here in this play back into left side Swamp.
I highly doubt it.
And the final chest there, the big chest of Swamp Palace, just 3 bombs.
Looks like we're seeing Vamos tablet.
And we have Otakaru back.
Where is he
Now,
at?
Looks like heading for Graveyard Ledge, so I'm guessing probably has, looking from his
Also beat Swamp?
personal tracker, has also cleared all of the crystal dungeons, but is looking for a sword.
Oh, fire out on Vamos. I wonder if he went to Vamos tablet, saw was Fire Rod on there, and now is looking for a sword for Fire Rod.
I am not even remotely sure what Otakaru is doing here. Looks like making bonk checks now. Headed over towards the Graveyard Ledge and then noped back out of it.
Yeah.
And here we are. It looks like Fire Rod was indeed what Jawsomesauce was looking for, is now going to go ahead and make that final climb. So this is the point where we hopefully get the bot started for the guessing game. And then you'll have a very brief interval to get your guesses in. Because, as the spiel goes, there are 22 possible locations in the basement of Ganon's tower where he has hidden his big key from our runners today. We will be checking based on Jawsomesauce's check count, as he appears to be the first runner to be getting into GT. Our runners have to find that key so they can climb the tower to have an argument with a wizard, you see. Without having the argument with that wizard, they may not face off against the Big Pig himself. And you must face off against the Big Pig. If you do not, you cannot end his reign of terror and put an end to this seed. So go ahead and get those guesses in. Full number integers 1 to 22. And as soon as Jawsomesauce dashes across a couple of screens here and sits through a short crystal cutscene, he will be in the tower and start making those checks.
What's your normal number for GT guessing game?
Oh, I usually guess something silly like 4 or 11. I don't really have a personal favorite.
Gotcha.
How about yourself?
7.
Yeah, 7's decent enough.
Yeah.
It could be early. It could be the torch. And of course, our runners have the boot, so that wouldn't really be an inconvenience to them today if it happened to be a big key on the torch. Jawsomesauce heading right, goes into Hope Room, finds a dungeon item and a small key, has a little hope, is going to continue right on over to Compass Room. Seems to be getting a little bullied by that Gibdo, and also almost got picked up by the hand, now getting a little bullied by the skeleton. Ooh, just
Still
barely
makes it through
in time. I was getting worried there for a moment.
Yeah.
Otakaru visiting the bomb vendor, going to pick up the orange bomb, still looking for a Master Sword here.
Jawsomesauce is still getting bullied by those Gibdos. I feel like this room is fine if you do it quickly, but the second it gets out of hand, it can get pretty rough.
Yeah, when I'm on normal magic there and I have silvers, I have a very great tendency to just pull out those silver arrows and make a couple of Gibdos go away.
Yeah.
Permanently.
And Big Key was... It was 6?
That was 6 for the Big Key. Big Key.
And it was Fire Rod locked.
And it was Fire Rod locked. Otakaru not finding a sword there in Pyramid Fairy. We also now know, unless Otakaru is comfortable with that bomb jump to do all of that with the lamp, is going to need to go to Bombo's tablet once he has a second sword in hand to pick up the Fire Rod.
Yeah, it's rough logic for not having Master Sword.
Yeah, if you do not make that dip into Pendant TR while you are right up there on the mountain to find that second sword, you're you're in a tight spot.
Yeah. Wonder if you went right to. Yeah. Wonder if you went right to Ganon's tower. Saw that found it was fire locked. Would you just go right to Turtle Rock, get the Master Sword, and be like, well, that's the end of that. Or you can do Skullwoods, which we already know does not have a Master Sword in the front, and you can't get to the back with a fire rod anyway.
I do wonder if in those 10 minutes that we did not have his stream, if he did use the book to check the Bombos tablet and knows where the fire rod is.
I'm guessing that's what happened. Not 100% sure, but my guess is he saw was fire rod and is now convinced correctly that, or at least was convinced that he needed fire rod for GT. We'll see he's making the play up for GT now. Fire rodless.
Well, the only other sword we actually know about at the moment is up here on the mountain as well, so it's really not a terrible play from anybody's perspective. I think that Otakaru has pretty much availed himself of all of the checks that are not on the mountain that he can make at this point.
Yeah.
There we see Jawsomesauce putting the silver arrows to work on land molas too. 1 silver arrow per land mola, and down they all go. There's one of the more satisfying rooms in the game, Wizrobes 1. You just walk into the center and lay that Samaria block down, light it off, and watch as the Wizrobes go away.
Always a sad time in like a low crystal GT or a Trotsky's or something. You don't have Kane in that room. And then you got to do it the normal way. And it's not as fun.
Yeah, the backup strat is something like wait until you're pretty sure they've all appeared and light off ether or something and hope that you catch them all.
Yeah, you also can like hit 2 of them, like one with a sword, one with an arrow, and then wait a cycle, but nothing's as good as Kane.
That's not as fun, and it doesn't look nearly as swaggy.
And I mean, the swag strats are the best strats. Like mocking across that gap always feels good if you have to do it.
Always feels good until you accidentally fall off.
Very true.
And as Lost the Pirate has so kindly put in the chat there, this is a reminder, please, if you have enjoyed what these runners have done tonight, if you have enjoyed the show that they have put on for everybody's entertainment, Jawsomesauce and Otakaru, please give them a follow. I am, of course, my DM. My co-commentator tonight has been MC Calamity. He's been keeping me honest, has been doing a great job. And our trackers doing yeoman's work, making sure that everybody knows what everybody has, since, of course, with Quickswap, we never get to see it anymore. Those are Lopoi and Raids.
Great tracking.
Otakaru now also into the tower, is going to go left, makes all the sense in the world when you have no fire rod, particularly if he knows where that fire rod is.
Wonder if there'll be a sword on left-hand side.
I would have to think there aren't a whole lot of other locations left where one can be. I mean, we saw Jawsomesauce clear out the entirety of Swamp, even though he technically didn't have to. He did find the fire rod, so I guess it could be on Green Pendant, or the second item in the back of Skull Woods. Could be buried further in TR. That would be incredibly rude. Get fire rod locked out of PR, but oh, yep, there's one.
Got a Master Sword
right there in Double Firebar Room.
Yep. You're gonna do the entire rest of the left side, and then go probably grab that fire rod. Or definitely go grab that fire rod.
Undoubtedly, you do not want to make the additional mountain climb if you do not have to. Since you're already here in the basement, you go ahead and you just hope that it was not fire rod required and that the key's just over here on the left somewhere or in the back there with Ice Armos or something. We know that it's not in this case, but, you know, this is the play that saves you the most time overall.
Correct.
But while we're talking about Otakaru trying to save time, we have Jawsomesauce trying to save the world, falling into the Ganon fight.
Grumble again. Good old Master Sword silvered.
Yep, Master Sword, but with silvers. You've got the red mail, so 14 hearts, you can stretch those out a pretty decent amount.
I think at least one blue potion.
I'm reasonably certain he has at least one.
That cape from Skullwood's coming in really handy. Second phase can be a real big pain if you don't have cape to get those double hits.
Especially when he's down kind of there on the right-hand side where there's not a whole lot of leeway to work with.
Yeah. Upper left and upper right, you can kind of get behind him and nudge yourself into that corner, but anywhere down low is just a pain.
And particularly more bottom right than bottom left. At least in bottom left, the Firebat ring, before it expands, is kind of on the left-ish side of Ganon, and you can get in on the right-hand side and get a spin or two in. But that bottom right-hand corner is just rude. There's not really a whole lot of working with it if you don't have the cape.
It's definitely awkward down there. So you got Torch Glitch, which isn't as necessary for silver, but it does feel good. And a nice double to end it off.
Yeah, the third and fourth sticks go into the pig, and the pig explodes. There we are, Jawsomesauce with the sword raised high in the air as the fanfare plays. And just as soon as this bridge appears, he will cross it, and it does appear by all rights that, yes indeed. First overall is a finish for Jawsomesauce, taking this Game 3. That was an official time on racetime.gg of 1 hour, 35 minutes, and 6 seconds. Get your GGs in chat if you have not already for Jawsomesauce. It looks like Otakaru is going to go ahead and try and line up the bomb jump and do this room with the lamp. It is decidedly not easy.
No. There's a lot of stuff that make that very difficult.
And as I say that, we are joined on the comms by Jawsomesauce. Jawsomesauce, good game to you.
Hey, thanks so much.
Yeah, GG's.
That was fun.
Your play into Turtle Rock paid a great many dividends. That second sword was the only second sword. Otakaru eventually found a Master Sword in Double Firebar Room of GT.
Wow. Yeah, I can't believe that was the only one, too. I've had so many seeds where something was in Pendant Turtle Rock that I was like, I gotta go in and look at it. And I was like, ooh, Master Sword. And then I skipped Spiral Cave, and that whole time it was weighing on me. I was like, that's probably a sword. Or could have been boots, and until I found the items, and I was like, uh-oh. And then I felt better.
Yeah, and also with that second sword in hand, you were able to pick up the fire rod off of the Bombos tablet. Needless to say, since Otakaru found his second sword here in Ganon's Tower, does not have that on hand, and is currently trying to do the bomb jump and lamplight strats for that torch puzzle room.
Yeah, this seed was so interesting because it was like, oh, I'll just go check, and then wow, there it is. Just so many times where it just, normally don't get rewarded as well on some of those checks, and then it hit this time.
It appears that Otakaru, having given that a good 2 or 3 goes, has got the bird out, is going to go ahead and go to Bombo's tablet, pick up the fire rod. There were some technical difficulties on Otakaru's end, so we are not positive that he knows where that fire rod is, and in fact, by the dashing that's going on over to Eastern Palace, maybe we can surmise, in fact, does not, unfortunately.
Guessing he must have skipped Bombos then after Swamp. That's right, he never did Eastern, he never actually did Hospital.
You would have to feel really bad if there was just a fire rod sitting there, because that's functionally a Sphere 1 location.
Right.
Yeah, the seed did not want you to do Sphere 1. It was like, no, go to the Dark World. Ignore that side. Come over here.
Yeah, and it was interesting because up through about 5, maybe even 6 crystals, you guys kept trading the lead in crystal count back and forth. You know, one of you would gain a momentary advantage a minute or so later, the other one would tie it up, and you weren't always doing the same bosses at the same time. But it was a really, really, really close race. But that dip into TR for the second sword is what eventually changed the entire fortune of the run for you.
Yeah, like I said, so many seeds you do, and it's just, why is Pendant TR always relevant? It's like, oh, I better do this here, since I'm not coming back for Spiral Cave. I'm not coming back for TR, so one check, let's see. And I was like, oh, maybe it's the mirror, something good. I'm like, oh, sword, all right, cool. The other thing was seeing the mail on Bumper Ledge. I was like, you know what? I did all those qualifiers for the other tournament. I didn't do well, but I did it with green mail. I don't need this mail. And then after getting through Thieves Town, I was like, you know what? It's stupid. Don't lose this race because you die. Go back and get the mail. And then we got red mail right off of Moldorm right after that.
Rando Maxim number 1. Dying is slow.
It is.
Yep. The slowest.
The other thought I had with it is it lets me be more reckless. And I like to be reckless when I'm allowed to be. Like, you'll just see me bumping into stuff and not care because I have mail.
Especially
Which
with red mail.
isn't the best way to go, but it's just, it helps. Puts me at ease. The more safeties you have, the more more relaxed, more casual you can play through.
Oh sure, it's the same way that when you're fighting Trinex, if you have half magic and red mail and 15 hearts and the tempered sword, the heads just kind of stay right there, and you go ice rod, swipe, 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 ice rod, swap, swipe, swipe, and fire rod, and everything just lines up perfectly. They never really move around. You never miss a shot. Mm-hmm. But God forbid you're on 8 hearts, green mail, regular magic. Those things just are bobbing and weaving everywhere, and you can never hit the dang things to save your life.
Yep. You run through your entire magic pool, and then you got a Death Ward or Mirror.
I will say though, I gotta hand it to Otakaru. If you didn't already mention the history for everybody, I won the first game by 5 seconds, and Otakaru won the second game by 4 seconds. So it was a pretty epic game 3, regardless.
It was a hell of a best of 3.
Decidedly the rubber match and the grudge match of the series.
Yeah.
And it sounds good that, we were right neck and neck on crystal counts and everything. It just seems like a routing divergence in this kind of crazy routing seed that sometimes pays off, and probably you make the right choices, it paid off.
And Otakaru has found the 4th sword there. It was in the vanilla big key chest of Eastern Palace.
There was one good thing in the Sphere 0 check. Oh.
Unfortunately, at this point, that was very clearly not what he's looking for. This is a fire rod hunt, and we know that it's on Bombo's tablet, so hopefully everybody can kind of send that positive thought of Bombo's tablet over to Otakaru, because you never like to see that last location, especially when it's something that you were close by to and chose not to check, because getting back to something like that is difficult, to say the least.
And Bombos is rough. You might come back to it when you do Lunchbox, but other than that...
Lincoln, you missed the Armos Knights fight. Unfortunately, just a stick refund for his troubles. He does go ahead and collect that blue pendant, but, since Fire Rod is locking the other 2 dungeons, he has to know that it is not on the pedestal.
You don't have a lot more checks. Maybe you do just head to do Smith Chain to Bombo's tablet.
That looks like probably what we're getting here. So, Jawsome, how did you like the relatively low percent Vitreous and Cold Stare fights that the Seed wanted you to do?
The Cold Stare wasn't too bad because I had Red Mail in a bottle. I felt like I was going to get it eventually. It just was going to be slow. And then Vitreous, it's just like, okay, I'll use this strat, use all my bombs and arrows, and then I'll use a cape to finish it off, and then I'll use some more arrows. And that's just not a practiced. It's like an NNG strategy to work more on, kind of thing. But again, having Red Mail, and a bunch of bottles, it's like worst case scenario. I'm just going to use those resources and then go fill them up again. I was honestly more worried that I used all my bombs and was thinking, oh, does Swamp Palace have bombs in that room? And then the little water walkers dropped bombs, so I was happy with that. So I got lucky there too. I think there's a bomb in the middle, those 4 pots in the middle of the Swamp Palace.
There is one. It is directly north of the small key.
Yeah, so
that small key's on the bottom. But when the enemies just bail you out instead, it's even nicer.
Even better, yeah.
Yeah.
That's one cool thing about this game is the vanilla game is, those developers handed you some bombs when you needed them most of the time. And so if you remember, you're like, oh yeah, I bet this room has a bomb under a pot. Usually it's there.
Kind of like the Thieves' Town attic, where in vanilla, not only are there the couple of those under the pots, but there are also 3. There's a 3 bomb pack in the chest. The devs wanted to be very, very certain that you knew bombs are important right here.
I think he's heading to K45 that he's going to go do. He's almost there. So close.
Yeah, at this point, you make the clean sweep, you turn in the purple chest, and then Bombo's tablet is right there since he's preserving his Dark World access. We should see the Fire Rod appear on Otakaru's side here shortly. Also, Jaws, I should say that we did take note of your file select name before the seed began.
Right. And for a 3-second game on this one. Luckily, it didn't pan out that way.
While we're waiting for Otakaru to finally come across this Fire Rod, I will note that your opponent has been decided. You probably are already well aware of this, but Dapper Worm Man won through on the other side of Group W over Nochibato in a 2-1 decision.
Oh, great. Yeah, that'll be fun. Probably start tomorrow. It's already the end of the week. Time for round 2. That's fun though with this tournament. We're all getting at least a second shot for sure, and lots of rando to play.
Yep, doubling them, definitely a lot of fun. It's not just lose a couple of times and you're out. You do have another shot in case your first opponent was more than you could handle, which, has happened to several people in this tournament. We've got a bunch of pretty good players in here. And we've got some surprising up-and-comers as well, so all things considered, it's been an interesting round 1 so far.
Definitely.
And yes, Otakaru, with that Fire Rod off of the Bombo's tablet, is now headed back to Ganon's Tower. has already cleared out the rest of it, and so knows that that fire rod is indeed required to get the big key. So we probably have 7-ish minutes left of gameplay on Otakaru's side.
Yeah, just clear right side, go up the tower, beat Ganon. He has tempered, so it should be a little bit quick. And silvers.
The Tempered Sword is definitely one of those things that I feel makes the tower climb a lot more bearable. Master Sword just does not get the job done, particularly against things like the Red Sass Axe
Yeah.
when you're in the gauntlet. Tempered Sword also lets you dash through Lionels, which is kinda handy.
Oh yeah. Should be a lot easier this time with a fire rod. Don't need to worry about any lamp shenanigans.
No, when you have the fire rod in hand, all you really have to worry about is taking a hit at a bad time and getting knocked into the Wallmaster. Everything else is pretty straightforward.
Yep.
So is this room doable without a fire rod?
There's a strategy where you go into the room to the north so that you can jump into the pit after you have bomb jumped over to the fire rod locked one of those torches. So you set your state to that door so that you can jump off, then you run all the way down the room, bomb jump over so that you can light that torch with the lamp, jump in the pit so that you go back up and light all 3 of the rest of them. I'm pretty sure it's too tight to do without the boots as well, although I would not say that for certain.
I'm not 100% sure on that. But you know that the bomb jump is really difficult because you have the wall master and the conveyor. Like, just
And the
getting
Medusa
across.
statue.
Yeah.
And do all that before the door closes?
The trip down isn't too bad. It's getting the bomb jump off first for the first lamp that is rough.
Yeah, once you have that, the rest of it is more tight timing than anything. That, I would say, is the difficult part of the trick.
The good thing is you very rarely ever see it come up in a seed, except for something like this. It's only really super useful in like cross keys or anything with an early GT.
Yeah, I would have been looking for the fire rod the whole time anyway, just because I could not remember if I could do torches 2 with just the lamp. I'm like, probably, right? You just walk around, start from the upper right corner and walk around, right? Or can you not reach
Yeah.
one?
You
You
can
can reach.
yeah.
Yeah, you can do torches too.
You do the same strat over and over and over again. You forget there are alternative strats.
Yeah, you can light the top right one last. You just have to kind of finagle your position a little bit.
Okay.
And you have the lamp out over the gap.
The flame sprite kind of leaps enough over to get to it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And-
I mean, in my head, I was gonna look for it forever until I found it. So glad I found it right away.
We were wondering when you got through through with your Swamp Palace proper, and then you went back in for left side. We were wondering, this is probably not a sword comfort level thing. This almost has to be a fire rod comfort level.
There's that, plus maybe I get a sword too. Okay, why not? But in my head, I was like, I don't think I can beat Ganon's Tower without Fire Rod. And I just was like, okay, I better get it. I'd rather not get there and find out. And I know I could not have because I didn't even know you could bomb jump that room. So for my level, I definitely needed it regardless.
It is decidedly out of logic, and it is not a trick that I am at all practiced with either, so I cannot you. Of course, I probably would have gone ahead and run up to GT and then found out that I was Fire Rod locked and panicked, so your play
Same
probably
here.
worked out better in this case.
Yeah, my next move would have been the big bomb on the pyramid, and then running up the GT to see if Spiral Cave. What I had skipped was the Fire Rod, and then gone from there.
And we are also joined on the headset in the commentary booth here by Otakaru. Good game to you.
What a fire rod. What a fire rod.
GG, man.
Yeah, GG, Justin. I told myself going into Swamp, read the tablet on your way out, and I always forget to do that. And I should have done it beforehand. I told myself, you always forget to do this, do it beforehand. And then I zoomed off because I had boots.
Yeah, we were just talking before you jumped in whether it's possible to even do that Fire Rod room without Fire Rod. They were explaining it, so I didn't know if you knew that strat either.
I'd seen it, but I wasn't experienced with it, and I figured that's the only way I had a chance. So let's give it a shot.
Yeah, it's definitely that's not an easy strat at all. Like, it's just a pain.
And I can't imagine how often you use it, except for maybe like cross keys or something. Like some opportunity you need to go into Ganon's Tower earlier in the game.
Some really niche.
Mystery. Yeah. I think I'll practice more Master Sword Cold Stare fights than that instead.
Yeah, there are definitely better things to practice than right side of GT bomb jump.
Definitely. I felt
Master
good
Sword.
about my low percent fights tonight, though.
Yeah. They'll look pretty smooth. Good old fighter sword Vitreous.
Fighter sword everything.
Yep.
So one of the differences sounded like, so I dipped into Turtle Rock just because I've been bitten by that and a lot of seeds in the past of having something there. And that's where the other sword was, the first chest in Turtle Rock.
Ah, okay. Yeah, and then I got mine in the big key chest in Eastern Palace.
And your other one was in the double fire bar room in GT.
Correct. I was happy to see that, and that was honestly the only reason I attempted the bomb jump is because I had Master Sword. So I'm like, well, maybe. a hope and a dream. But that was definitely an interesting seed.
Another one of the things we were saying while we had Jawsomesauce in here, but while we were waiting for you to finish up, was for a lot of the game, up through 5 or 6 crystals, you guys were really close. One of you would take a 1 crystal lead, the other one would close the gap a minute later. You weren't always fighting the same bosses, but the crystal count kept evening out. It was a really close race up until that sword find in the first chest of Turtle Rock for Jawsomesauce kind of swung it fairly decisively in his way.
I'd also considered going into Turtle Rock for the first chest, but I was like, I don't know. How many seeds in a row can I get where something's there? So I decided not to. Overall, though, it wasn't a bad seed. It was just something that kind of tested your low percent for quite a bit.
I feel like it gave you a lot of progression. Like, Crystal Dungeons had a good amount of progression, but just never gave you any sword. Just the ability to take a lot of hits.
Yeah, definitely.
It was very much a case of low percent on offense, but plenty of safety on offer.
At least, except for Cold Stare, because my only safety was the bottle and the blue cane, and that wasn't going to help me with Fighter Sword.
True.
And there we are seeing on the restream now Otakaru with the sword held high in the air while the fanfare plays, the bridge appears, and crosses for a second place finish with a racetime.gg time of 1 hour, 57 minutes, and 52 seconds. If you have not already done so, get your GGs in chat for Otakaru.
Yeah, well, great match. I mean, we were talking earlier about how 5 seconds and 4 seconds were the difference in the first two, and it sounded like the seed ruined our ability to have a tie. It sounds more like than the play.
Yeah,
so
definitely. Those first two matches were insane. I don't think I've ever had that close of a race before, let alone twice.
mm-hmm.
But
Yeah,
GG again.
It was definitely a good and entertaining show that both of you put on for us. Do either of our runners have any final thoughts on this seed?
no, like I said, I'm not going to prioritize that bomb jump room, but it's really cool to know it's possible, and definitely got to work on some more low percent stuff. Because even with the full standard pool, we're still getting no weapons. So who knows?
I just got to get into the habit of reading that Bombos tablet. I always skip it. It always bites me when I do. But GG again, Jossum. Well fought. Well fought.
Thanks so much, GG to you too. And good luck in the next round. Like we were saying,
Absolutely, you as well.
It's double elimination, so just win again, win the next one.
Right? We'll get a rematch.
That's right.
Then we can get our 3-second game. It's gonna happen at some point.
That's right.
It has to.
Seems like
Let's get
we're the
matched
ones
up in
that
the
are best
brackets.
suited for it.
Yeah. Someone seed us in the brackets just for that. Let's do that.
So with that, I will say one more reminder to follow the runners if you enjoyed the couple of hours of entertainment that they put on for everybody's benefit this evening. Jawsomesauce and Otakaru, thank you so much for agreeing to be restreamed, for coming out, for showing off your skills. Good luck to both of you against your next opponents. Being that it is double elimination, you both do have plenty more games to play here. My co-com tonight has been MC Calamity. Thank you so much. It has been a pleasure. Our this evening were Lopoi and Raids. Lost the Pirate doing all of the technical work behind the scenes, and I, of course, have been MindDM. We will get Lost the Pirate back in here for the last minute talk about all the other things going on here in the near future on Zelda Speedruns, but this is going to be the end of the spiel from me. So from me, have a good night, everybody.
Yep, I do have to come in and do the shameless selling out part. That is one of my necessary roles as a restreamer. So we have a lot on the schedule tomorrow. It is not quite as crazy as some of the Saturdays we've seen recently, but before we even look at the Challenge Cup schedule to add things in, we already are going all the way up to Zelda Speedruns 3_3 for those of you who are new around these parts. Zelda Speedruns _3 and _4 are the official ZSR extension channels. Coming up at noon, we have the Majora's Mask Randomizer weekly race. At 1 p.m., we have the OOTBQ Blackout Bingo Tournament Grand Finals Game 1. We have got Exodus 122 versus Mike Katz 45. And I am really, really, really hoping that we can wrangle a commentator for that, because it's fucking grand finals. We have to show that off. Beta Quest is wonderful and madness, and we need more of it in our lives. Coming up at 2 p.m., we have the Zelda 2 Randomizer Max Rando Tournament Losers Bracket Finals. We have Level Engine versus Top Life. I am excited. Coming up at 6 p.m., we have our Ocarina of Time Randomizer Standard Weekly for the NA time. At 7 p.m., we've got Twilight Princess Any Percent Tournament, Wolf Dash 3. We've got Losers Bracket Round 4, and I do not know how to pronounce, 7 I's or lowercase L's in a row, so I don't know how to say that racer's name, versus Swift Ike. And then topping the night off at 10 p.m. Eastern, we've got the Zelda 2 Randomizer weekly race. They've mostly been running Max Rando flags since there's the Max Rando tournament in progress. But who knows? It might be any other brand of shenanigans. And we will be taking a look this evening at the upcoming Challenge Cup schedule tomorrow and adding more races as is practical to do so. So feel free to take a look at the schedule. Let me link that in chat. Buttons. I know how to push them. If you would like to be involved in helping make these things happen, hey, we are happy to have more volunteers come in and click buttons and say words and make these restreams happen, because they do not happen without our volunteers. So please consider joining the tournament Discord and signing up to help track a future race. We would love to have you on board. It is degen hours now, though, and so I'm going to call it a night. You all wonderful people, go the fuck to bed.